all of you here. I usually start the whole evening with telling people to sit down, but don't, because the first activity will be done while standing up, so never mind that. Anyway, welcome to the next crew talk in the series, and this time it will be focused on Scrum. And the topic for today is how to make successful projects. Has anyone ever enjoyed a successful project? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Not in Applifting though, right?
Only Applifting.
Amazing. Anyway, it's joy to have successful projects, and I'm very happy that in the second part of this evening, I'll be joined by 4 amazing panelists, and we will discuss how to make our project successful, because that's something which everyone enjoys. But first, let's have a short networking session with Lukáš.
Yes.
So, Lukáš, go ahead.
Okay. All right. Hello, I'm Lukáš. I'm a Scrum Master here. I'm responsible for the Scrum in general in Applifting. So I have hands into multiple places and multiple projects. And I'm really happy that you came here, but you probably maybe don't know each other. So first, because this is also a networking event, I will ask you to form pairs. Find somebody ideally that you don't know, wait, once I will tell you, and discuss between you two what are your maybe good or bad experiences with successful or unsuccessful projects. Yeah? This is really quick activity, get to know each other. I will give you 2 minutes, then I will ring a bell, you will find a new person, and then a third round. Is it clear? All right. So find somebody right now, ideally somebody who you don't know, and discuss what were your experiences with successful projects. All right. All right, the time is up. Hello? Time's up. Time's up. Stop talking, and right now find somebody else. Find somebody else, somebody that you don't know. Same question. Introduce yourself. What are your experiences with successful and unsuccessful projects? Sorry, that was too loud. But time's up. Last round, find the third person, somebody you don't know, and the same topic. This is the last round to get a chance to get to know each other. You will be spending the evening with all of you, so it's good that you know each other. Ne, to nefunguje. Teď jsme tam, dobrý, a teď už mě lidi nesnášejí. Okay. Thank you very much. Time is up. Hello, hello, hello. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Time is up. Please pay attention to me. Hello. I'm here. Hello. Good. Somebody waving back. Thank you very much for participating in this. I know that it's a little bit out of the comfort zone to talk about somebody you don't know, but hopefully you met 3 new people that you didn't know before you came here. Use it through the whole evening. Right now, we will gather the panelists. You take a seat, take something to drink, anything, and in a few minutes, the panel discussion will start. To you, that's to you.
Right, so it's great to have you here. It's great to have our panelists here. And before I introduce the panelists, today's program will be a bit unusual for me because we'll be using something called Menti, which means basically that all the questions I'll ask our panelists will be displayed there, and you can answer as well. And the first question for everyone is, how would you describe your current role? So if you would please bring up your mobile devices, scan the QR code, or go to menti.com and fill in your role. And I'll ask my panelists to write down their role on their whiteboards as well. And we'll see who's here. Anyway, today will be split into two parts. And in the first part, we will talk about how to set up successful projects. So basically, sorry. You have Wi-Fi here because there is no signal for... I think there should be a guest Wi-Fi called guest at Applifting, so you are more than welcome to join that. And the Wi-Fi password is right there, where the founder of Applifting is showing you. So what a rare occasion. Anyway, right, and in the second part, we'll talk about delivery of successful projects. So whatever we learn in the first part, we'll use in the second one, and there will be a 15-minute pause between these parts. So don't worry, you'll get time to get refreshed. Anyway, it seems that we have some responses already, and I see that every response is there just once. Oh no, now there's some which are more times. But we see developers, we see Scrum Masters here, managers, designers, CEO, the code and design guy. I'm pretty interested in what that means. And let's look at what our panelists are. So I see product owner in fintech. Then we have BizTech, Scrum Master, and mobile dev. So with this, I would like to ask our panelists to introduce themselves, and we'll start on the left with Radim.
Okay. I will try. Can you hear me? Okay. So I'm a bit surprised that it is in English. So it's quite a long time I actively use my English. But I can assure you that I will do my best to understand me. So, by the way, my name is Radim Trojek, and I'm almost 20 years in IT. Last 12 years in the role of the product owner or product managers in various fintech projects and also in traditional financial institutions. So, I did a couple of successful projects, couple of not successful projects. That's life. So to be mentioned, last successful project what I was managed was white label solution for let's say payment providers in South Asia and South Africa. It was quite successful because it was very competitive environments in merchant payments. I tell you later how we achieved it, and the last one was Payment Hub for some mid-sized bank here in Czech Republic. It was just the backend application, and that's all from my side for the very beginning. So thank you for having me here, and and it will be great fun, I think.
Thanks, Radim, for having you here. It's amazing. So next up is Honza.
Yeah, hi guys, my name is Jan, as you can see there. So my role is client acquisition, but I actually started as a developer in Applifting 10 years back as a mobile dev, and I switched my role to business, so that's why I call myself sort of a business tech, or biz tech. What I do right now is I lead the uplifting expansion to the UK market. So I do take care of UK office of uplifting in London.
Thanks.
I have my own. Hi, I'm Lucas. I'm a Scrum Master in Uplifting. And Scrum Master in Uplifting does a lot of things. Scrum Mastering, but also taking care of the project in general through the whole life cycle, from the beginning, from some kind of proposal, through the whole development, maybe to some kind of handover or to some next milestone and stuff like that. So it's a whole life cycle. A lot of things can go wrong. I also been experiencing all good and also bad projects. That's life. Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks.
So hi everyone, my name is Sasha and I'm working like a mobile developer for quite a few years. Specifically I'm doing Android mostly, but iOS on demand. So yeah, that's all for me.
Okay, so those are today's panelists, and as you can see, they have experience with both good projects and bad projects. And although it sounds like projects which don't go well are pretty crappy, and if experiencing that isn't great, I beg to differ, but because my good friend one day said that either you win or you learn, and I think that this pretty much describes this situation. So I bet that this mix of experiences will be very valuable in today's discussion. Anyway, let's go on to the second question. And the second question is, who don't we have here? Who should be here at this discussion about successful projects and isn't sitting here? So who are you missing here? So, interestingly enough, my mom lives in the US, so I miss her very much as well, so no surprises. Anyway, it seems that most votes go to customer right now, and yeah, that's someone who's really important in the project, and maybe it will be answer to several questions in the future, so we'll see. And our panelists seem to be missing UX UI founder, a client, no one, and product. So let me ask Lukáš, why do you miss no one here? Like, is everyone here?
I think from the perspective of what roles you need to actually maintain successful project, I think we have all of the roles. I kind of assume Radim as being the customer. So he is a product owner / customer. That's why I didn't wrote customer. And I think, of course, all of these that are mentioned here are involved in the success of the project, but through the roles that are here.
Lovely. Thanks. Maybe we could ask Honza about his answer. Could you elaborate?
Yeah, I mean, there are lots of people missing client and customer, and what I think is that there is always someone who delivers, and there is always someone who sort of aims for the work, whether it's like internal client or external client, whatever. But you need to deliver something to someone to have a successful project, yeah, whatever it is. And we currently, I mean, obviously, yeah, we've got Radim here. But Radim is a special type of client, I would say, because he called himself a product owner, right? So what is the diff between like product owner and client and where we get, right? But I still think the client's opinion is always important. And that's why we do I mean, whenever we deliver a project, we always ask the client, okay, what was your experience? Was there something we could improve in the next project? And we tend to do it very often, and I think it's super important to close that feedback loop.
Lovely. Would you like to reply, Radim?
Just as you mentioned that customers are super important, that's why I put there the UX UI designer, because you need to have someone who really understands what are the customer needs, how they will use, how they like to use the products and services. And you know, the project usually starts with the idea, with the business plan, with the technologies. But if you deliver something, I mean, if you deliver good idea or good, let's say, service, which nobody wants to use, so you have a problem. That's why we need somebody who really understands the customer needs. And the second thing, the founder, I think the founder would be important here because you know, because he can tell us what obstacles and struggles he should solve and tackle during, let's say, project preparation phase, project delivery phase, and yeah, and those are completely different problems than we as a delivery guys have. Mm-hmm. So that's, and I'm customer of Applifting, so that's completely different role than the end customer of the service. But yeah, it would be lovely to have customer here as well.
Lovely. Thanks for the answer. Anyway, before we get to the next question, I can see that someone already asked a question in right there below, and we'll get to those at the end of the first part, so don't worry about that. Anyway, so the next question is, what is, from your experience, the most common reason why projects fail? Because if we are talking about successful projects, we need to first talk about projects which fail, right? So, we are starting to get some responses from the audience. So it seems that poor management, no users, miscommunication, unclear requirements. That's one which pretty often the case. Communication, lack of clear vision, priority changes, setting the goals at the beginning of the project, and plenty more. So let's get to the answers of our panelists, and let's start with Sasha. I see idea validation. Then we have Lukáš with not aligned expectations. Then Honza with communications, perhaps. Accountability, preparation. Lovely. I think this first part is only about preparation of the project, so we have that in focus. And then we have Radim with insufficient decision-making, operations not ready, and scope creep. So first, Sasha, can I ask you about your answer?
Yeah, I think the idea of the project is like the main part, the project fail, because I saw quite a few projects that had like that idea that wasn't validated and nobody knew that was it like really useful for the like end user to buy this product or to invest in it, whatever. So I mean that is the main problem, and like probably I like the answer with the communication. It's like another problem in the project management probably, but I think the idea is the main point why everything fails, because yeah, you just try to implement something that doesn't work like in its like core.
Mm-hmm. Thanks. My next question is for Radim, and that's insufficient decision making, that's something which is not really straightforward, and nobody from the audience headed there. So why do you think that's something which leads to failing projects?
Yeah, so I think it is very common, especially in the very beginning of the project, when you have poorly set up the responsibilities in your team. I mean, not in the delivery team, because it is completely clear over there, but especially in the business team. So if you don't have clearly set up responsibilities between your stakeholders, between your CEOs, between your domain experts, it always leads to the confusion, because they are, because for example, your domain expert or stakeholders saying it's something different, your CEOs can have different expectations, can talk to stakeholders and domain experts, let's say how they should design those domains, and everything leads to confusing decision and confusing, let's say, requirements, and everything makes the things insufficient. And in the end, so you can end up with the solution which is doing something, but nobody is happy with that from the stakeholder perspective.
Mm-hmm. Thanks. Honza, is that what you meant by accountability, or is that something else?
Yeah, I guess it's partially that, definitely. I mean, I didn't write here one thing, and that's and I completely forgot it right now, but I'll get to that. Yeah, I meant it by accountability and also ownership. Like today, for example, I had one meeting where we had to sit down and say, okay, who's gonna do what, and who's gonna be owner of which activity that we do, because until you say it out loud, nobody really knows, and nobody really wants to take that ownership of whatever it is as part of the project. And this is that you need at least one very vocal person in the project that will actually communicate this to everyone. And then preparation, and what we tend to do, or what I always try to say, it's better to start later when you're ready than to rush and just to fail very quickly at the beginning. Because if you are not ready, and you don't have everything prepared, it doesn't make sense to start very quickly. Like whatever timeline you chase, just wait a bit. If you are not ready at the beginning, when you don't have like backlog ready, and you really can tell to the dev team, we can start now because we have everything in place, because it doesn't make sense. Then you will, after a couple of weeks, you will figure out, okay, we should probably have started a little bit later. So that's another thing in terms of the preparation that I wrote here.
Thanks, lovely. Anyway, before we get to the next question, and this question was about failing projects. But when projects fail, the question is, which role gets the most blame? So what do you think? No, you have to write the answer, not just like raise your hand. We know it's you. Well, bear with me for a second.
Whose fault is that?
I would say either Steve Jobs or Tim Cook. So it seems that most people agree with Lukáš on product manager, and Sasha already has this answer: product manager or product owner. Yeah, it seems that Radim also is saying the same, and Honza has the delivery team and vendor. So maybe we'll ask first Lukáš, why does he think it's Scrum Master?
Well,
From experience.
because it's from my experience. I just I will cry a little bit here. Why there are so many jokes about Scrum Masters not doing anything, but when actually the project ends badly, they are the one blamed for it and everybody knows for it. Like, to me, that's like an irony that I'm not willing to like take anymore. It's really sad, but it's true, and I'm fine with that. Yeah, we are Scrum Masters, project managers, whatever. We are de-risking the project. We are trying to think about what happens behind the next corner or the corner after that. That's what we are good at. That's what we are paid for. So it's okay when it actually fails. I don't think that it's fair to blame it only on one person. I don't like blaming one person. I think it's still kind of we all contributed to something. So it's a share. But yeah, getting shit in my face is sometimes part of my job description.
Thanks. So as the product person in the group, Radim, do you agree with the rest of people here?
Yeah, I agree with that because I experienced it many times when the project failed, that the first person who take this blame is product manager and delivery team. And yeah, and because the product manager is in the middle of everything. So every stakeholder has usually his own domain, which he understands. But project manager, but they think those business, let's say, domain experts, think that a product manager has to understand everything, has to communicate everything, has to ensure that everything will be delivered in time and budget, and it will be usable and successful. And yeah, and what I saw during my career, one common, let's say, behavior that those stakeholders usually simplify their view by finding one let's say, general scapegoat, because finding the problems in the system, how project works, is more, let's say, hard to do. The analysis is more hard, so it's better to find one who you can blame, but you know, it's part of the job. So that's it probably.
What a nice job. Anyway, thanks, Radim. And let's move on to the next question. And that's, I would have to connect, so bear with me for a second. Right. So, who has the final say if people disagree on the project? Who has the final word? If some people do not agree on... Well, let's say during the project. We are right now talking about the POR. That's one of the Teletubbies, right? I wonder what the star is.
That's a Scrum Master.
And I wonder why there are two poles. Like, it should like take those two together, I guess. Anyway, it seems that most people again agree that it should be some product owner again. So let's see. Sasha agrees. Lukáš has a strong claim that the team should be the person who has the final say. Honza says product owner and founder, and Radim has a founder when it's startups and product owner when it's bigger companies. So maybe let's start with Sasha. Why do you think that most people think it's product owner?
Well, I think it kind of depends on the how big is the project, but mainly it's like all about the satisfying the client needs, I guess. So I mean, if the client wants to be involved somehow and to resolve that disagreement or whatever, then I think it's like his project, it's his money. So yeah, but normally it's like a PO because he owns that product, in my opinion. But again, it like depends on how big project is. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Lovely. So Lukáš, could you elaborate on the team?
Yes. The question was a little bit vague about what they are disagreeing. So I took it very generally. And if somehow on the project there is some disagreement, just talk to each other. I've been experiencing too much that people are waiting for somebody to decide for them. Okay, if it's about priorities, if it's about the product, yeah, it's the product owner. But what if we disagree about the way how we are working together? Then it's up to the team. That it's also not the Scrum Master who is like, you will do it like this. No, I want to somehow emphasize that the decision should be a team decision.
Yeah, I'm really happy our Scrum Master has this approach.
Yeah, but it's the hard way.
Yeah, definitely.
It's not easy.
Anyway, Radim, could you tell us why there is the product owner only on bigger companies and on smaller companies should be founder?
Yeah, because I think that if I look on it because my experience that the clashes are mainly about, in startups, the clashes are mainly about the scope definition, about the prioritizations and what should be built now, what should be built later, how much we would like to automate the end-to-end processes and so on, and everything costs some money. And in the startups, this is the founder is the person who is paying for everything. So in the end, if team is not able to achieve some kind of the consensus, that founder has to decide how he will spend his funds because it is essential. And in bigger companies, there is a bigger organization, and there is a lot of those units and all of those product silos and so on and so on. So here the product owner has always the final decision, because it is his responsibilities, and it is not possible that founder of some big bank will decide what is the right approach.
Thanks a lot. Okay, let's get to the next question, which is if you could change one thing about how projects are estimated, what it would be. I don't know, is there someone who doesn't have any experience in estimating projects? Nobody. Sad. I mean, I do have that experience as well, so it's not a great experience. I especially like do it after the project. Don't estimate. That's, yeah, exactly. That's what I would do. Right. So Honza wrote client with no unlimited budget, and quite possibly also like unlimited scope and unlimited timeline. Yeah. Radim has unclear requirements. Lukáš has cancel estimates. Controversial thought. And Sasha has understand project requirements. Lovely. So Radim, what do you mean by unclear requirements? Like, should they be unclear or should they be clear?
Yeah. So my advice here is do not estimate the requirements which you don't understand. So stakeholders always push you to estimate everything, to create a timeline, to create a budget. But another advice here, which I am giving everybody who is working in the same role as a product manager, is try to learn how to say no. So if you don't understand the requirements, don't do it. If you don't understand how to implement those requirements in your system, don't do it, because what I experienced is that sometimes I was pushed to do the estimation on estimation. It means that they pushed me to estimate how long does it take to the moment when we are able to do the estimation and in story points, and it doesn't make any sense. It's crazy. So first, understand the requirements, understand how to implement those requirements in your system, and then do the estimation. And another thing, what I remember, what is I think the best approach is to do requirements based on the previous successful similar projects with the people who made it. It is the estimation session is really effective, and yeah, this is the best approach. And if your stakeholders or founder accept it, try to estimate it on the higher level, not on the let's say sprints level. Try to estimate it on higher level, on the for example phase level. So for example, MVP version will be delivered with team of 12 in 1 year. On this level, you can have let's say you can in this longer time you can do the changes. You can absorb the new ideas and so on and so on. So this is my best approach from from my experiences.
Right, thanks. So Sasha, is that the same thing you meant by clear requirements?
Yeah, I mean, kind of, but it kind of depends on what kind of estimations those are. I mean, if it's like the first estimation of the project, you know, that high level one, then it's kind of like funny sometimes. You just cannot understand all of the requirements because it's too much. It's too high level, and you know you're doing that weird guessing. Because that's the only thing that you can do, but you have to estimate it somehow because you cannot refine those features or those things up to that detail that you need to do. So yeah, but basically.
So is it perhaps better to not have estimates? And Lukáš, I'm looking at you.
Yes. Is there anybody who likes estimate? No.
Nice.
Really? Okay.
Points for honesty.
So 1%. It's a little bit wishful thinking, and it's a little bit like me trying to protect some value. But I think if we are not estimating, it requires a lot of trust in the team, in the people that are doing the project. Like, imagine if this would work like employment. If I'm employed by a company, my boss is not asking me how long will it take me to do my job. No, he employs me, he trusts me, and I do my job. The best way I could. Why we can't have projects, or we can, I've been on some projects that there was a team, they had some agreed capacity, so the money was okay, we know how much money we will spend, and there was a trust that this team will deliver the best value they could, given the requirements from the product owner, from stakeholders and stuff like that, and they just did it, and they didn't do any estimates, and it can work.
Okay, lovely, thanks. Let's get to the last question of the first part, and that's how to build what truly matters and not just endlessly add new ideas. Some of you may know this as feature creep, so how to make this disappear. And this is usually quite often an issue with projects, and sometimes it even blocks them from delivery. So. I see design sprints. Those are quite lovely. We do them quite often because they are really great. Clear change management process, that's also very usable. Do we have some first answers from our panelists? Lovely. So I see prototype user testing, involving users, feedback. Then Honza has solve real problem and feedback loop. So basically, the same thing. And some more from the board are defining MVP and limiting and prioritizing needs. Well, if you sleep in peace, whatever makes you happy. Mm-hmm. Great. We have everything with low value and high effort, move for later. Lovely. So maybe, Honza, you basically mentioned the feedback loop, but also the first part.
Yeah, I'll start with sort of denying what I wrote, which is solve the real problem, because not always it's a necessary thing. Because when you see a competitive market and you got an advantage, you should probably go ahead and just to sort of copy what the others do and just do it a little bit better, and then you will probably succeed as well. But maybe you're still solving that problem. But for the feedback loop, I think from day zero, you should really talk to anyone who's the real potential or future user of the product you want to build, because this is the person you want to pay for what you're going to build at some point. And if you can't convince that person, you probably shouldn't build it, right? Because those people won't be paying for that. So maybe then it's okay, I should roll back and I should find better solution for what I'm trying to solve, because I'm maybe not adding enough value for those people to start paying what I want. Because the paying element, it's really something that it's important, right? Because to go around my friends and ask them whether the product I want to build is good, I will always get thumbs ups, and they always say, this is a fantastic thing, you should definitely do it. Because they are my friends and they want to support me, right? But you want to talk to people that maybe don't like you, but will still pay for the product you want to build, right? And if you can find people like this, maybe you are on the right path. Yeah.
Right, thanks. Lukáš, go
Can I
ahead.
very quickly react to this, because I very much agree. And I just wanted to say that all of the stories, all of the descriptions, all of the product backlog items, or anything that you can describe are only like a wishful thinking until you develop it and show it to the user, and the user will tell you that they like it. Then it becomes meaningful, and then it becomes somebody will pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
Until then, we can describe it the best way possible. It's only our wish. That's it.
So you mentioned you need to first develop it before you show it to users, and Sasha wrote that you could have a prototype. So Sasha, can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's quite a good idea to firstly test your prototype on the real users, like probably, because this way you can at least statistically, come to agreement that, yeah, that idea should work. And not just because of you think so and your friends think so or whatever, but yeah, you can just statistically somehow show that in papers or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Thanks. So Radim, you wrote to basically deprioritize everything with low value and high effort. So my question for you is, how do you explain this to the business?
So you should have clear understanding what is your goal, which you want to chase, and you need to do, let's say, on the monthly basis, those design reviews and demos reviews, and you should get the feedback from the stakeholders and from the customers, what is adding values and what not, and prepare your priorities based on that. So every time there is a lot of ideas what should be built, what should be automatized, and as I mentioned, so you need to learn how to say no, and at the same time, you need to think about whether it's possible to, let's say, achieve the requirements without implementing it directly in the system. For example, you can figure out how to do some manual paperwork processes or to buy some tool, not to implement it directly in the system. So, and then you mentioned the testing. And what I experienced, what works in some project was that we try to, let's say, create the production environment as much as possible with the limited functionality and give it to some small number of friends and family to use it. And based on this feedback, we will fine-tune the features, we will automate some end-to-end processes, and yeah, and it was very efficient because we still have this constant feedback. So,
Well, more enlightened customers like that, please. Anyway, this was the last question of the first part, and thanks all the panelists and all of you for answering. But before we get to the break, you might have some additional questions. So we have one right now, and you can add more. So, Mr. Trojek, what do you value the most on your team members?
That's me, probably. Probably the most important for me that there is an open, safe environment where everybody can say their opinion and can give feedback to anybody without any offense or afraid that it will be used against him. So in this open environment, this open environment is only way how we can be as efficient as possible and enjoying the work. And if team enjoying the work on the project, this is one leg of making this project successful. So open environment.
Yes,
we had one.
Mr. Trojek.
Yeah, I'm sort of, hiding here, but yeah, answering question that was not for me, but there was another question heading to disagreement, right? How to create an environment, how to agree on an environment where you can disagree, right? So it's a safe space. You can ask any silly question because it will be answered, and it's better to ask that silly question rather than wait for a couple of weeks and then sort of let it explode, right?
Right. Thanks. Does anyone in the room have any other questions? Anyone? Right, go ahead. So who would like to answer? Do you have any experience with other methodologies than Scrum?
Scrum, Kanban, traditional project management, large-scale Scrum.
What's traditional project management? Is that waterfall?
Waterfall,
Yeah.
Extreme programming. I'm doing project management for 11 years right now, so through that I've touched a lot of things. And also I don't think that Scrum is the only answer. I think it's good to have like a tool belt of various methods or tools that you can use that will serve the purpose and the project. And above all of this is still common sense. Like, don't do it because some framework or methodology is telling you to do it. Do it because it makes sense to you.
Right.
Yeah, and funnily enough, like I've been through many projects, and many of them said we do Scrum, but none of these project management processes was the same, right? Which is funny. So do your Scrum, but do it your way, right? This is your common sense, probably.
No, that's because the most used like agile methodology or framework is Scrum, but single T, because people are like, well, what do you have? Well, we are using Scrum, but, and then just follow the sentence somehow. Most used.
I would like just add one thing. When I mentioned that successful project of white label payment solution, so at that time I firstly experienced mixing those two approaches, Scrum and Kanban. And it really works. And it was, we were doing all of the MVP phase, I mean development phase and preparation phase have been doing with Scrum. But when we were in the phase when we would like to going live, then we have switched to Kanban, and it really works because at that time we were a lot of small tasks, completely it was a lot of various tasks for different person and a lot of feedback from our first customer, and Kanban was really works well at that time because you can be more agile at this critical phase in your deliveries, in your planning, and in your prioritizing. So this mix of those two approaches in specific phases works really well for me.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other question in the room? Anyone? Doesn't seem like it. In that case, let's move on to the break. And it will be 15-minute break, so have something to drink, have something to eat, use the toilet if necessary, and let's see you in 15 minutes. Blum, blum. So, if you would mind joining us back here at the panel discussion, now it's time for the second part of the panel, which will be about delivery of successful projects. However, before we do this, I have some good news, and I was told that there is pizza ordered. So after the second part, there will be pizza. Amazing, right? Anyway, let's start with the next question. And the next question is, or maybe isn't. Please all the following items in terms of priority. And we have speed, quality, customer satisfaction, team happiness, and user satisfaction. And please, panelists, you don't have to write all the things, just write A, B, C, D, E. What? A is speed, B is quality. Oh yeah, customer is the solutions customer, while the users are users. Customers are customers. Customer is stakeholder, yeah. So it can be perhaps management or anyone who's paying for the project. Yep. Looking at our panelists here, I see some wide starts to the prioritization. And let's right. So let's look at. Sasha has only 4 items. So, but the first item is C, and the last one is A. Lukáš has first E and the last A. Honza has A first, and Radim has also E first and A last. So the interesting thing is, Honza, why did you write A as first? Why is speed most important?
I mean, again, it's case by case, but I mean, there are cases where speed is super important. I mean, speed to the market when I like express myself correctly. So that's what I mean by that. So rather make something very quickly. It can be rubbish at the first stage in terms of, I mean, how it looks like, but you will be able to test it rapidly and very quickly. So you can fail fast, and you don't have to spend like a bunch of money on something that doesn't really work.
Mm-hmm. Did anyone else think that speed is the most important factor? Anyone? Well, you are not alone, Honza, it seems. Anyway, maybe Lukáš.
Please come.
Weren't you the one who said that you need to be really ready before you start?
But yes, but there are different phases, right? And for different phases, you apply different rules. I mean, if I would ever do a startup myself, I would try to do something very quickly, prepare it, and start testing it very quickly. That's why I talk about speed, yeah.
Okay, thanks. So, Lukáš, can you perhaps tell us, as you have similar priorities to other participants, how this might change in different, let's say, industries or different areas?
Well, still the users are the one using it, paying for it. Maybe not paying for it, but maybe using it, and that means maybe being angry. So by using it, if it doesn't work. So they're still the ones that are important. And I saw it in a way that if the users are happy, then the customer is happy, then the team is happy, and probably the quality is also good. So it kind of trickles down. And in terms of different industries, I don't know. I'm in IT projects. I don't build houses. It works in IT projects.
Right. Okay. Sasha, would you like to add something, or?
Yeah, I think it depends on the, again, on the project and if you're your own client or not. I mean, when you're like delivering a product for the client, I think the client first approach is kind of good like thing because he's paying money, and if the product is the garbage, but he's satisfied, well, why not? I mean, while he's paying, but when you're your own like client, so you're paying your bills, it's all probably about the user satisfaction because you're delivering to the users. And I wouldn't agree with the speed because it's all about the users. Someone will use your product, and yeah, that's the point, I guess.
But my product will be used earlier, yeah, because I'll be faster.
But mine will be better.
Anyway, thanks everyone, and let's go to the next question, which is what is your best hack for tackling an overflowing backlog? And I believe that we already visited this question a bit, so I'm curious where we'll get. What to do if there's too much to do? Well, kež jsou všechny bytosti šťastný, Lukáši. Okay, so we have Radim, low value features move for later. Then Honza has prioritize, let customer do to prioritize things. Then Lukáš, talk about it and find solution together. And last, Sasha, reviews and backlog. Oh, it's backlog reviews. Sorry, I didn't see that. Anyway, so maybe Radim, do you have some tricks like how to do this prioritization? Because the prioritization is something which is quite often the answer even in the audience. How to do this?
Oh, as I mentioned in the previous part, so everything is about the goals and achievements your service should have. So for example, I don't know if you have a lot of things which is pouring to the backlog because all of those stakeholders has their own requirements. You still need to prioritize the most important features, which gives you the most value. And for example, I like the approach that you will build simple features for very beginning, because before you start to think how to make all of those, for example, end-to-end processes automated, and you can do it later when you learn what is the best way how to automate it and which one really should be automated. So if you have kind of the phased rollout, you can check all of those features, you can check all of those operation processes, how they work, and then based on this feedback, you can start with some tuning. So.
Right. But may I ask, like, how can you tell which features have the most value? Like, if someone doesn't know how to do this prioritization, what would you advise them?
Oh, it's. I think that it's. It's about product itself. So the first thing is that you need to get your customers. This is the first point, and then you can think how to, let's say, be efficient in the operation processes, and always customer is on the first place.
Okay, thanks. Lovely. Lukáš, maybe you had an interesting answer that basically discuss it together and find a solution. So can you be less vague?
Yes.
How to do this?
I'm all about finding out why this is happening. Many of these things are a symptom. Like, okay, we have an overflowing backlog. Why? Is it because we have 2 product owners? I don't know. Is it because that we have too many stakeholders talking? I don't know. Why is it? So find out the why and solve that. Because if you don't solve why it is happening, then it will probably happen again. You might figure it out and you will, I don't know, do something about it. You will create a black sprint that will have nothing delivered, and you will fix everything that was remaining, stuff like that. And then in 2 months it will happen again. And then because you didn't figure out the why. Find out the why.
Mm-hmm. Lovely, thanks. So let's get to the next question, which is connected to this one. And that's basically if you are faced with an unrealistic deadline, meaning you have something to deliver and you know that it's not possible to deliver it, what should you do? What is the one most important thing? And I know that it will be very easy to write, like reprioritize the backlog, but that's not every time that's the solution. Okay, so let's start with Radim. We have redefine scope and timeline. Then we have Honza, move the deadline. Then we have Lukáš, speak up. And Sasha, make sure everyone is aware. So that's pretty similar to Lukáš's speak up. So would one of you like to elaborate on that?
I will start. Just, it takes courage, but please have the courage to say uncomfortable things out loud. It's about creating the safe space that Radim was mentioning. When you have the safe space, say it out loud and then find a solution.
Yeah, again, it's all about the client-first approach. So if you're building product for someone and you tell them that you will deliver your product up to that date, and you're not going to do that, so make sure they will know that. And I mean, it's about the client who pays the bills, so that he would know that, or about your users that you're going to distribute your application to. So yeah.
So maybe what if there isn't the space to voice concerns? What if there isn't a safe space? What should you do?
Then you have, okay, there still should be, you need then more courage, but there should be at least the Scrum Master who will somehow help you to do that.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would just give an example. Imagine you have a date and your lady or your man is waiting for you, right? And you arrive, like you said, 8 p.m. I'll be there, and you arrive 8:30, right? If you don't text the lady or man, you are in trouble. But if you text them, I mean, it's better situation at 8:30 where you meet, right?
Right. Did that ever happen to you?
Many times. Yeah.
Yeah, by this what you mentioned, you can save yourself from the struggles of this unrealistic deadline, and you can also save founders and investor funds by that. So you mentioned that you need to speak up. Yeah, this is, as a product manager, you have to always communicate proper timeline, no matter what happens. And there is say no, and I really like it. I learned it that you must learn how to say no, and you have to do it. You know, better is to say no earlier than later, because as I mentioned, you save your let's say life in this environment. You save your founders and stakeholder funds, and you can take a time to think about why it is happening, take a break for the next iteration of the project. So say no if it is needed.
Maybe, Radim, when you have the microphone, how do you say to the, let's say, business team that the deadline needs to move? Like, do you have any tips? Because it's kind of difficult today.
Very loudly.
Amazing.
I say no more.
So, Hansa, do you have any tips?
How to say? I mean, the first moment you realize, you will probably be in a situation like, oh, we probably not gonna make it, but I'm not gonna say a word, right? But that's the moment where you should start speaking, probably, right? But I don't know whether it's an advice, because when you find yourself in that situation, you probably wouldn't like to speak out. So it's hard, yeah.
Right. Bear with me for a second.
From my experience, client, they don't like surprises. So if you tell in advance, then it's much better. And also that it's a better situation if you say, I will be half an hour late for my date, or 2 months late for my project, and then actually come earlier, then you are a hero.
And I've got one more. I learned this by working with Americans. I mean, always when you bring a bad news, try to bring a solution as well, okay? So bring something into place. Okay, we're gonna resolve it that way, for example.
Yeah, and it depends on the phase of the project you are. So sometimes when you are, let's say, in the middle of the MVP solution, then it's really good to bring the solution. Like, for example, let's do kind of the technical production with some small team, with team members, just to demonstrate those investors that they should be calm, because they can see all of those deliveries. They don't need to be all of the functionalities, but still you are presenting that you have something, and then they can understand it, and they can, let's say, understand moving the timeline further. So still you need to show what you achieved so far.
Lovely, thanks. Okay. Go ahead, Lukáš.
I just wanted to say that be careful and probably don't do the salami method.
Which means?
Which means that there is some bunch of issues and you are mentioning only one and then another one and then another. No, just, okay, this is the situation, this is what you know, these three things are shitty, and let's welcome them together. So, because then just a little bit, that's, it's torture.
Okay. Thanks. Let's move on to the release of the project. And do you have any tips or tricks to do to make sure the release goes smoothly? Like, I'd say that most releases I've been part of were successful, like vast majority. But more important thing to say is that none of them was without problems. So for developers here, the git push force is a great idea. For non-developers here, never do that. Sasha has a simple answer, which is no. Lukáš has don't do it on Friday. That's great advice. Honza, release plan step by step, friends and family. And last but not least, Radim has released checklists, phased, sorry, what's that? Phased rollouts and slow down dev. Nice. So maybe first let's start with Sasha. Why are you skeptical about releases?
Yeah, I mean, you can never make them smooth, but it's all about the preparation and the steps that you take before, about the strategies that you choose. So like the communication, I like the idea of the, release for the friends and family and the stuff like that. But the main point is that if you think that your release will be bad, then you have to prepare for it, and you have to, create those steps to think out the strategy, how you will make it like a little bit less painful, but you will never like be in that situation that everything is fine, in my opinion.
Honza, could you use the microphone?
He is the developer who is working through the night or maybe weekends actually fixing the release. So yeah, he knows.
Because you most often release on Friday, right?
I experienced it. Don't do it. And also, if you follow Scrum properly and you are releasing every sprint, don't have the end of the sprint on Fridays, because then you are basically releasing on Fridays. Bad idea. You don't want to ruin your weekend.
Thanks. So Honza, do you have any tips what to have on the release plan? Because you mentioned that the release plan is key.
Yeah, I said it like, I mean, this can be the plan, right? This is what business can do and product owner can sort of agree on. Let's do it this way. But now we hear the reality from Sasha here. Like it's always sort of different what the developer feels and what the, so let's say, founders and the business thinks it will be like, right? Because that's slightly sort of different. But I mean, start with small group and grow it when you feel confident. That's probably the biggest thing. I mean, you can start with like bunch of people. It can be like dozen, it can be 20, 30 people, and you can mitigate so much by going small and then doing step by step. So that's probably the only thing I can advise. I mentioned friends and family. It's good to have those straight from the beginning and not when you decide with the big release. So when you have like small steps, involve them as soon as possible, because they will see the incremental work that you sort of rolling out. So do it ASAP, and then it will give you much more confidence to go live to more people. I mean, never release is smooth. I agree with Sasha, because you can never think of all the bottlenecks of your app. I mean, it always will be painful. There will always be bugs. It takes me so much time to explain this to clients. Like, there will always be bugs, and it's natural. It will be there, expected. They still think we can build something that's sort of 100%. Yeah, it can't be like that.
Maybe Radim, do you have any like specific, let's say, checks or routines pre-launch?
It always depends on the project, but one of the hack is, and it was mentioned earlier here, so train the releases from the very beginning of the project. So prepare all of your environments in the very beginning of the project, including the production environment, and train those releases, and based on the experience from the releases, I mean up to the production, and based on this experience from those releases, fill in other, let's say, points to your checklist so that you are really ready when, for example, this friend and family come. And yeah, and one of the things which I think I experienced that we have underestimated in some different projects was it is specific thing. It's observability. So you need to make sure that when you are going live, that you and it is always underestimated in every project that you will have proper monitoring in place to monitor your resources, to monitor your let's say those crucial processes where you can lose your customer. And also, your logs needs to be super quickly accessible and full of information and perfectly searchable. This is one of the because you mentioned bugs are always there, and during the release phase, there is bugs you will never expect in the testing environment. And if you have super observability, you are very quick, you are very fast to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
Just a tiny detail. I mean, you will always underestimate it. I mean, in terms of how much information or how many lines of log you put there, you will always underestimate it. I mean, there is never enough, I think.
Lovely, thanks. Maybe one more question for Lukáš, and that's how do you make sure that the whole team is aligned on what needs to be done before the release?
I want to say talk about it, but I assume there is some definition of done, maybe some acceptance criteria on the whole project level. There is, yeah, some checklist, and there is reasonable level of transparency within the team that we are on the same page that what needs to be done, that we all understand it. Me as a Scrum Master, I will probably somehow check that the team knows and that they are really on the same page and that there is no somebody who is just like, YOLO, release to production.
How do you do that?
Talking with the people, observing the team, maybe some one-on-ones, gut feeling. Do not underestimate your gut feeling.
And how is the feeling of Scrum Master during release? Like
I cheer for the team. Like to be honest, I'm not the one like fixing the shit in production, doing the hot fixes. And I'm aware of that, but I'm not ignorant against it. I'm not expecting them. I'm trying to prevent this from happening. I don't want the team to be spending nights and weekends fixing this. So I'm the preventive measure. But when it happens, I'm there, I'm trying to support them. I don't know, I buy coffee and chocolate.
Lovely, thanks.
Yeah. So I would add that every, let's say, first serious release is small project. And here, from my perspective, the Scrum Master role needs to be a little bit switched to product manager and keep an eye on every task, no matter where it's development or, I don't know, infrastructure or testing or, let's say, preparing friends and family users to check the processes. So every release is small project. If you are doing it at the first time, and then you can do it in more, let's say, automatically later on.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, everyone. So the last question of the evening I have for you is crunch time before launch. What to do about it? It's crunch time, for those who don't know, who haven't had the chance to enjoy it before, is when you have to work overtime to achieve the deadline. And sometimes it's because some features are not yet developed. Sometimes it's because you just want to polish the project. But from my experience, there's always the one more thing you want in the product before you launch. So, yeah. I really haven't seen a project which doesn't have a little bit of crunch time at the end, even if it's just polish. I don't mean the language. So, Sasha has keep the tempo. You usually don't hear this from developers. Then we have Lukáš, prevent it as much as possible. Honza, keep up, ex-developer. And Radim has experienced team. So Radim, can you perhaps shine a little light on the experienced team?
Yeah, because we were with Applifting. But I think that those crunch times will always be there. I don't think that you can avoid it. So the best way how you can be prepared for this crunch time is to expect it and be aware about it and prepare your team that the next phase will be really difficult. And regarding the experienced team, so if you have a team with members who have let's say low experience or no experience with this going live phase, then it will have a really huge impact on them. And if you have your team mixed with some seniors which have experience with that, then you can rely on them that they can keep their, let's say, heads cool and transfer, let's say, this calm to the rest of the team. And yeah, it is always better to have people in the team who know how it is going and how difficult it is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's always better when you are not alone during those crunch times, right? To have your buddies around you, and when you message someone on Slack, you just don't have to wait hours to get the response. So someone who's up as well and like living the journey with you, that's always good.
Hmm? So Lukáš, you seem to disagree.
No, I forgot what I wanted to say. I wanted to correct myself that you can't prevent it completely. There will always be a crunch time. Yeah, I know. But there is a crunch time that is working nights, burned out people, weekends, cancelled family vacations and stuff like that avoid it. But there is crunch time that is like a reasonable level of some nervosity, some like, oh, we need to fix this, and some kind of this kind of like a good level of stress, and then it's fine. And if you manage this on this level, then it's fine. So aim for this. Please do not cancel family vacations because of the release. It's important. Unless it's your product, maybe. Still no.
So Sasha, you wrote keep the tempo. That's something which developers usually don't say. So do you enjoy the crunch time?
I mean, meaning keeping the tempo. It was like you don't have to overtime if you don't want to, and stuff like that. I mean, I think it's a good thing when like the developer is like product engaged. When I mean, just like the business guy and the client guy says that they want like the development team to be involved in the product, to always talk and the stuff like that. So that means that the development team should be engaged in the project always. So keep the tempo that you choose from the start, and like be productive. Don't like overtime if somebody wants you to overtime, because I had like quite a few projects like that when like the project managers were talking about, oh God, we have the crunch time, let's overwork, let's work together at night, yay. And the things like that. No, just like keep your tempo and make it like from the start of the project and keep it.
Okay.
And that's the thing, right? The project manager tells you, let's have a crunch time, but he's he or she, whatever, they is the first one to go to sleep, right? So it's quite bad, right?
Right. So, before we get to the audience's question, I see that we have both have a pizza ready and hungry people work better there. So, who of you agrees with have a pizza ready? Anyone in the audience and here? Yeah, if you agree that you should have pizza ready. 1, 2, 3. If you agree rather with have pizza ready or hungry people work better. Pizza? Pizza, 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 pizza. Who thinks it's better to be hungry? Nice. Again, points for honesty. Okay.
Coffee, Red Bull.
So that was last question for me, but let's move on to the questions from the audience. And the first one we have here is, I guess it should be, how do you know that the project will succeed or fail before doing it? Who would like to answer?
You never know.
Lovely, thanks. Any other answers?
I mean, we mentioned a couple of things here, right? So we started with estimations that Radim, you said probably you don't like it, or someone said, oh, you don't like it, Lucas. So you start with estimations, and then you do all those steps before the beginning of the project to mitigate the risk that it will fail. So you will do all your best, but you can never be 100% sure like it's going to succeed. I mean, there are so many variables, so many different aspects that can come into place. But yeah, do as much as possible to mitigate risk at the beginning.
Yeah, and sorry for the buzzword. If you fail, fail fast.
Yep. Radim?
Yeah, I try regularly ask all of my stakeholders one question, and I expect clear answer from all of them. So, and question is, how do you recognize that we made it? And if these answers aren't, let's say, clear or they are different, it is the first sign that that the project probably failed, because because there has to be always, let's say, similar or the same answer from all of them.
Okay, thanks.
I've got an additional one. I have same question, just slightly different. Like, how do you measure success of the project we're gonna do, right? And today we had one discovery call, and I asked this question, and they said, oh, we know X, Y, Z, so we will measure this, and after a couple of months, we will see whether it works or not, and we will continue or not. And that's the best you can get, yeah, because you got something exact, and it's not like, I'm gonna like the project, and I'm gonna like the product, and this is how I measure it, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right, thanks. So the next question from the audience is, how do you balance between constant kumbaya and work obligations, especially in critical times? Kumbaya is basically like holding hands and singing together.
Like everything is okay.
Yeah. Anyone wants to answer?
Every day. Sometimes there are fun times, sometimes there are less fun times. Yeah. Don't like do this in front of problems. Don't be, everything is fine, we are friends, when you have like fire in your backyard. Yeah, and every day. And yeah, have a courage to speak about it.
I would just say, like, everything fun is fine, but it's still work, right? So do as much kumbaya here until it supports the efficiency of the team and everyone feels better, but don't do too much because it's still work, right?
Okay, thanks. So next one is, what to do if you have unrealistic deadline, but you won't be able to move it, e.g. part of the product won't work after the deadline and you will lose a lot of customers. I think that we kind of touched this before. but maybe does anyone want to answer it?
If you can't move the deadline, you need to move the scope.
Yeah. Simple as that.
Yeah, go live with what you have, right?
Yep. Next question is, don't release on Mondays as well. Same issue with Friday. That's not really a question, but it's a great point. Honza, this is for you, I think. Did you ever tell client, we can build perfect bug-free software, but you cannot afford it?
Do it.
I'm just thinking how often I say this, but I don't say it this way, really, yeah? So we talked about estimations and quotes that you give, right? Because it's always meeting number one, hi, I am Jan, blah, blah, blah. I'm the other person, and then you introduce yourself. How much is it gonna cost, right? We know each other 3 minutes. How much is it gonna cost? What is the ballpark budget, right? And then I say, I don't know. I keep saying, I don't know, until I know at least something, right? And then I give a quote, and then it's too much, right? So, and I live this like all the time, right? So it's tough, yeah, it's tough. But yeah, you need to keep up and like keep moving and keep explaining why it's that much and why you do it that way. And actually and Radim is here, I know, but I mean, the reason for keeping the process before giving the quote a little bit longer and as detailed as possible, there is a reason for that. Because you want to show how you operate, you want to show how you think, and you want to also give the right reasoning why the number is the number. And I think there is also there are like other companies and my sort of personal feeling that sometimes it happens that there are companies that give quotes that are sort of undercut from the reality, and then they are trying to chase the real number with change requests, and I don't like it at all. So I'm trying to keep the quote as realistic as possible, because I mean that's where the transparency in the relationship starts, right? But it's the reality, yeah.
Thanks. Interestingly enough, I say something similar to clients who don't want QA on the project, and that's basically, we can build a perfect bug-free software, but you don't want to afford it. So, yeah. Okay, let's move on to the next question. And that's, are there a fuck-up night format events in Prague? I do not know.
We had one crew talk that was fuck up night. There is a recording from it probably in Applifting Talkbase, I don't know, somewhere, you can watch that. And I also heard that there were some fuck up nights in Prague, but at the end the format didn't really work.
Okay, so does anyone know about fuck-up nights in Prague? Well,
Assuming the fuck up nights are like fuck ups about projects and stuff and not like a adult.
I mean, we have our HR team, which is quite great at organizing events. So you can ask them to make an event like this. And trust me, every night can be a fuck-up night. So what if the project manager constantly promises more than what is possible? And I'm not sure who is this question for, but I would start with Radim.
Oh, I'm not doing it, so that's hard to answer for me.
Okay, maybe did anyone else have that experience?
I mean, I did, but I was not the person, but it was really painful, yeah. Because what happened then was that the customer was never happy, because we always agreed on something and that person communicated something different, and then the customer was never happy. But it seems almost like a toxic environment on the project, so...
So what did you do about it?
I mean, I was very unexperienced that time, so I just lived that. I mean, yeah.
Okay.
I just
Lovely.
went on. Yeah.
Lukáš, would you like to add something?
Give them the feedback they are over-promising. Like, give them the feedback. They are maybe not aware of it, so give them the feedback.
Lovely. Okay, thanks. And do we have more questions? Yes, we do. So who should set up the workflow and define responsibilities and expectations for team members? How to do it correctly?
The team.
Of course it's the team.
Sometimes I'm asked to set up Jira and workflow for the team and stuff like that. Okay, I will do it according to my best practices, but then I'll show it to the team and you need to take ownership for it. I did it many times that I prepared something and the team was like, what? Why? We don't need that. Like, no, you need to set it up. Jira or workflows or something, that's a tool. Every project is different, every customer is different, everything is different, so you agree on it together.
Lovely.
That's
Thanks.
the only way how to do it correctly. I don't have like a recipe to give you. Add 3 tablespoons of Jira and 1 kilo of Scrum ceremonies, and no, that doesn't work.
But maybe a follow-up question is like, how do you transfer the ownership to the team? When you sort of create, what do you do? How do you transfer the ownership then?
Yeah. If they're unexperienced, like working together, or maybe even in Scrum, that I'm maybe at the beginning a little bit more like hands-on, a little bit showing this is the best practice, this is how it should be done. Still, it should be like a team agreement, but I'm a little bit more showing them, but then slowly stepping out. But if they are experienced and they know, and there is the safe space and the safe environment for that, I try to create it, then I give them the space, and I'm observing if somebody is talking too much, somebody has like a very strong opinion, and then some people are silent. I'm looking at the team dynamics and making sure that the team is really on one page. That's
But what if like team is not engaged, and what if they like, you know, just sitting and observing? Who is the guy who will just like say, yeah, you will be responsible for the Jira, and you will be responsible for the, I don't know, documentation or whatever. What if the team is like passive and you have nothing to do about that?
Why are they passive? Is it because they have this personality, or maybe they don't feel safe speaking about it? Okay, we can do some kind of structure that you will write it down maybe if you are not open. I will get the opinion from them. Any good Scrum Master will get some kind of opinion and some kind of like discussion and the variability of the opinions. That what Scrum Masters should do.
Okay.
I think it happens. From my experience, it happens always somehow automatically. If you have a good setup of your team, not having only let's say mid and junior let's say people there, and you have some seniors. At the beginning, you can set up some best practices, and once you are running some iterations, they started to change the workflows. They started to own some part of your product, and if there is somebody who is like not very engaged, then those seniors can like show him the path and show him the space which he can be right now responsible for, and try to show him how he can be like more experienced and responsible for more things. And it is the same on the product which we are working on with Sasha right now with Applifting team. We start with something, but now I think that it settled more and more, and slightly changing every iteration based on the feedback from the team. So it is not like rocket science, I think.
Okay, thanks. So we have 2 more questions, so let's go through those, and then let's leave the rest for afterwards. So try to say product manager from Asia that they are overpromising. Tip, don't. Oh yeah, okay. That's not a question really, but a great tip nevertheless.
Thank you.
And then is there an efficient way to do the same project with hybrid remote on-site teams? Anyone would like to answer?
Yes.
Okay,
No.
thank you.
There are tools, really good tools for basically managing remote work. You have, I don't know, Miro, FigJam.
Anything you could recommend?
Miro, FigJam, any kind of, I don't know, tool that will allow you to create some kind of virtual board. We all lived through the pandemic where we were mostly working from home and it worked fine. There are companies that are working only remotely. So yeah, I still prefer face-to-face meeting. And my tip is if you are doing project that most of the team is remote, make sure that you meet at least on like a quarterly or twice per year basis face-to-face. That's just, it's good. Drink a beer together or something. It's always good to put a face next to an email. And that just works. But yeah, a lot of tools online. Ask me somewhere on the bar, I'll give you lists.
Lovely, thanks. So, before I let you go, I have one last question, and that's if you have some final thoughts you would like to share. Anyone can start. You don't have to write those, just like take the microphone and...
Okay, I prepared this, so... all of the roles are contributing to the success equally and create a safe space that you can talk openly and communicate openly. That's, if you have that as a basis, odds are the project will be successful, or at least you will lower the fail rate, or let's say, or the fallout to a minimum.
Okay, thanks. Who wants to go next?
Yeah, I agree with what you mentioned about the safe environment and where everybody can express their, let's say, worries and their ideas. And yeah, every team, I think that every team member has value, has some value, and you should not be like the person who talks most on the meeting. It's very good to listen your team members, other experienced people, because when you are not speaking, you always learn something. You always get some super perfect information. So this is another thing. And as I mentioned earlier, during my career, I realized that it is not bad thing to say no. So this is sometimes it is the best thing what you can do, not do unrealistic promises, unrealistic deadlines. Just say no, because when you say no, something magically happen, that people start to think different paths, different possibilities. And if you don't say no, it looks that everything goes smoothly, and problem is bigger and bigger. And maybe last mention, when I learned what does it mean this crunch time, so So I recommend to send your family during this crunch time to holidays to save your relationship. It's also important.
Nice. Great advice. Thanks.
I think the main part is that stick to a client needs. Try to understand like what the hell he wants to do, and try to find the problem and to feel it with yourself, because it's your goddamn job to do. And I think, yeah, keep the tempo, as I said, because you cannot like work overtime to make your client happy. But yeah, anyway, the last thing is just maybe about the Scrum. Just like, it's not about the Scrum, it's about being agile. So that's, I think, is the most important part.
Thanks. Pragmatic as ever.
And try to be pessimistic at times, because everyone is like usually very happy. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll keep this related to client acquisition, or as we call it in Applifting, like CAT, which is client acquisition team. Like if you work in company that you have your business people and they try to sell something, I mean, be in sync with those guys. If you are a developer, be close to those guys because they are selling something and you will be doing the job. So if there is a way how to keep the business and tech people closer and communicate between each other, I mean, that's super great. And I think what we did in the last years, I think we achieved that, which is awesome for us, but I would wish the same for you as well, because the worst thing that can happen is that someone sells something that's not non-deliverable for the tech team, and it's really pain in the ass afterwards. So then you can have all the Scrum Masters in the world, but you probably won't have successful projects. So do communicate between the business and the tech team, since we're talking about tech projects here.
Okay, thanks. So that was Radim Trojek, Honza Hauser, Lukáš Janmarek, and Sasha Petrov. And now the last thing is to have some fun, have something to eat, something to drink. And before you go, please make a standing ovation for our lovely panelists, because this was really amazing. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.